Okay, so this is going to be this Friday's session, passing, moving, and receiving. So you're going to be training all three of those things in this session. So this is exactly how you will set up your space. This is the only setup you'll need the whole time. So 4 corners to mark out the entire space, 4 goals. You can just use cones for all of them. When you actually get to this part, they can dribble the ball through to score, or if you trust them to play simple passes through, you can do that, but we'll get there later. So as the players arrive, we just want them to play as they show up. So 1v1, 2v1, 2v2, 3v2, 3v3 as they arrive. You can either have them just play here in the 4-goal game, or if you start getting too many kids, you can just separate this out and you can have a 3v3 on this side and a 3v3 on that side as well. So beyond that, 2 players per 1 ball in the space. So using the entire area, right, players will just be passing and moving back and forth with one another. So while they do this, this is an opportunity to do your skill stacking. So you can ask different questions. So what is the player's responsibility when they have the ball? What is the player's responsibility when they don't have the ball? A good coaching point in this, something that usually shocks a lot of the young kids when you tell them, is they spend, 95% of every game without the ball. So their job in this passing and moving thing in here with their partner is, if you don't have the ball, you should be moving. You should be constantly changing directions, trying to get into new space where you can receive a pass where you've got room to play. Your job with the ball is, 1, to get it settled, 2, to make a good decision with it. So you've got to be able to make sure that you are passing to your teammate that's actually ready to receive it on the other end. So while you are going, there are 1,000 different coaching points that you can build into it. Some groups will need a lot of encouraging to be moving off of the ball. Some groups you can talk about how they actually receive it. But I would tell you that definitely the key moments in here is going to be, what are the players doing without the ball, and can your players actually play a pass rather than just, generally kicking it to somewhere and having their teammate go and run after it. So how do they prove it was a pass? Have we communicated? Have we played a good pass at the end? Okay, so the next progression in the session is a game we call Light Another Candle. We call it Light Another Candle because we say a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So we're just trying to build the concept where, as soon as you have passed a ball off to a teammate, all you're doing is inviting them in to come and play with you. It's not you just giving the ball up to somebody else so they can go dribble on their own. It's not you losing your opportunity to play, not you losing your opportunity to get forward and score goals. You're just inviting more players into the action. You're turning this into, instead of a 1v1, a 2v1 or a 3v1. So you're just bringing more players in to help grow your attack. So this game's got lots of applications, but specifically for passing, moving, and receiving, it builds in tons and tons of great ideas. So the game starts off 1v1 in the middle. So long as it is 1v1 in the middle, neither player is allowed to score. So if blue wins the initial ball, the coach will throw a ball out into space. If blue wins the initial ball, before they can go and score, they have to complete a pass either back to a teammate in this corner or back to a teammate in this corner. As soon as that pass is completed, this player is now free to come join in, and now instead of this being 1v1 in the middle, it is now 2 against 1, and they can score on either goal. So obviously they have to complete that pass. There has to be somebody here to actually receive it, and then we get to make decisions, right? Do we drop back in to complete another pass? Do we try to attack this goal? Do we just stay wide to open up space to try to attack here? We're just trying to force this defender to make a decision, and we obviously get lots of good passing opportunities because it's a big space. There are 2 different places where we can go to attack. Once we have made it a 2v1, so we are free to attack, or we can complete yet another pass this way, bring on another player, light another candle, and make it a 3v1, which still gives us lots of good coaching points, both in passing, moving, and receiving, so we can make decisions now about where to go. Again, in the 3v1, your player should be able to be more successful. Should the defensive team win the ball, while they're still alone, they are not allowed to go and score, but if they win it, they can play back and bring on help from themselves. So now that they have two, they could attack 2-on-3, or they could play yet again to another corner and make this 3v3. So this is kind of like a choose your own adventure game where it starts out 1v1, it might build the 2v1, it might build the 3v1, it might build all the way up to 3v3. 3v3 is as high as it goes. So what I do is once we've played through it a few different times, I will take these players here, make them move down into this corner, bring these players here, bring them over into the near corner, take the players in the near corner and bring them there. So that way, once we've gone through enough repetitions, everybody has had an opportunity to play at every different spot. But again, depending on, you know, how well your group is doing with it or what you want it to look like, you can even change things up on them. You can start to change around where their teammates are and where they come on from the field. So now when it starts off, here is this 1v1. They do have an option to pass backwards to light another candle to find that help, or they can just play positive straight away and bring on help there. I mean, you can move these extra players literally anywhere you want to, but this, how I showed you start, is kind of the general setup where we start, so that both options are backwards. So another thing that I do with my teams is once we've gotten this game going, it's a really fun game anyway. It's always fast-paced, it's always competitive, but what you can do to really make it competitive and really dramatic and a lot of fun at the end is you can, again, you know, put the onus on them to make decisions. So you can make it so that in the 1v1 scenario, you are able to go to goal yourself and score. But if you score while there's only one player on the field, it is only worth 1. If you are able to connect backwards and bring on a second player, if you score now, it is worth 2, or you can bring on a third, and if you score now, it is worth 3. So this gives the players more opportunity to kind of dictate how they want to play the game, how aggressive they want to be, but it also gives them opportunities to make decisions that make sense. You know, if this player in the 1v1 falls over and you've got an easy run to the goal, this player has to decide, is it better for me to still play backwards, or do I just take my opportunistic chance here and just go? The same scenario can happen in 2v1, you know, or 2v2. Just how do you want to build, how do you want to attack? So players get to make decisions, which ultimately is a big part of all of this. You know, they've got to choose when, where, if they're going to pass. Players that want the ball have to be able to move into space. They've got to be able to do it fast. They have to decide when and where to move. And then obviously there's lots of good receiving options in this as well. Do you take that first touch across your body? Do you settle it still? Do you keep the ball forward? Do you have to turn immediately as you settle it? So again, what you're doing is you're just creating opportunities for them to practice all 3 of these things. And they will obviously get that as they arrive. When they're just playing the game, you, again, while you're doing the 2 players, 1 ball, and the whole space, you can build into and cover as much of that as you want. Light another candle. It forces all of these different actions. Graham, I think you're up. There's no breaking, Graham.
Just you wait.
Look at the amount of focus. Look at the dedication to his craft.
Life as a recreation director.
The way that you communicate during play. Or Jimmy Jones is here.